Hey, welcome to another video by Black Flash. This is a Weatherby Scope video made in Germany, and by the serial number, that's it was for, what is it, 44656 or something like that. Anyways, that's early, one of the first year, either 53 or 54, that scope was made. I'm going to get rid of this bush now. That's just for comparison. So this is a 1953 or 54 Weatherby, and I'm going to pause it for a sec. And I bought it at a gun show last weekend. Pretty happy with it. Everything works on it. I took it to another table afterwards, after I bought it, and I got explained how everything worked on it. It came with this leather one-piece cap, end cap, which is kind of nice. Now the later models had a rubber eyepiece. This one doesn't. It's one of the earlier models. You notice the two caps on top, and you'd think that one's windage, one's elevation, but no, this is your focus ring. It doesn't have a focus ring on the eyepiece. This is just your zoom, 2 3/4 to 10. And then this is your focus ring, and then this one has your elevation and your windage. It has 2 rings under the one cap. Interesting thing about this, it's a front focal plane, meaning that when you zoom in, the crosshairs get bigger. The crosshairs zoom in with it, and that's kind of cool. They're really fine crosshairs, so when you zoom in, they get a little bit bigger, which is kind of nice. Now, of course, this is another company that made this in Germany. It was Hertel Reuss, and they were a company that originated in the 1920s. They went all the way to the 90s making optics, but Weatherby, these were all handmade and really high-end glass for the time. They were kind of ahead of their time. So another interesting thing about the Weatherby Scope, or Hertel Reuss, when you adjust the elevation and the windage, the crosshairs move independently. So the elevation will move up, and the windage will stay there. It's not like it doesn't move at the same time. I guess I should have something to explain that, but a drawing. Anyways, you get it. I just tried holding the camera lens, or the phone camera, up to the eyepiece, and it's so hard to do and shaky, and I gave up. Anyways, the crosshairs are very fine, and like I said, it's the front focal plane, and the crosshairs move independently. The glass is really good. They made optics right up until the 90s, I believe, at this Hertel Reuss company. Now this is for 1953, I think it's a 54 millimeter lens, or on the end. You can compare it with the 40. This is a 40, and this is bigger. So I think it's a 44. I don't think it's quite 50. I didn't measure it, but comparable to this, this is a 1990s Bosch and Lohm. This is far better. For 1951, that's incredible. Like, I wish I had more of them. If I come across more, one of the problems is they used a kind of something like, I don't know if it was beeswax, but it was like beeswax, and this stuff would seize up the controls, and this one apparently had been worked over so that all the controls are smooth and just work awesome, not stiff at all. And so anyways, I got it. He wanted 325. I got it for 275 Canadian, which I'm pretty happy with. I'm going to put it on that Southgate, California Weatherby. So this scope is a couple years newer than that gun, but it'll really go well. I would like to put it on my newer gun just because it seems like a really good scope, and I don't really use that Southgate, California Weatherby hardly at all. But it's another thing that the scope smith told me about. When you do mount this back ring, you got to be really careful not to clamp it down too tight because you're bearing. I guess there's really the tolerances are really tight going through here, and if you do it too tight, then your focus will seize up, not work, and your zoom. So anyways, that's just one thing you got to be careful with these old Weatherby variable. Now the model name is supposed to be Imperial, Weatherby Imperial variable, and then there was an Imperial, just a fixed 4-power, I believe. Now I don't know if later on they put the Imperial name on, and then a few years later when they moved to Japan, they put the caps were normal, made by another company, and they were called the Premier, the Weatherby Premier. And I don't know if they're as good of a scope. Apparently the reason they quit making these ones, it was just too costly. It got too expensive, and so they went to another model in Japan. So another thing that the Germans did right. Seems like I keep coming across all these things that the Germans just kept hitting out of the park. And here's another one. Okay, thanks for watching.